Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone, Rovi, and Mscribe, and today we're going to be talking about the Royals.
Again. But for good reason. Because, man.
By the time you're watching this, it'd be very close to mint out, if not minted out.
Correct, which is obviously reflected here on this interface on display with this progress bar. If you guys, I'm sure most of you watching this participated at some point during this. Man, it's been like a 3-week event. The actual live launch of this thing has been, the third of the 3 weeks. Yeah. Just about. I mean, it's been quite the journey, dude. It's been quite the experience. We're just going to kind of.
Yeah, we went through the entire spectrum of emotions.
Did you?
And mainly exhaustion was the main emotion.
I don't know if exhaustion is like an actual emotion or not. It's more like
it's like status,
like a physiological occurrence, dude. But yeah, I mean, definitely stretching the limits of that, right? Just because this is a global thing, right?
Yeah.
Some of these phases, they go on for 24 hours, and therefore, if we decide to sleep, that means things could go wrong during those hours, and
it could, yes.
Not being present to deal with those ramifications is, stressful.
Yeah, you can't sleep.
The idea of that is like, fuck, dude, it might not be worth it. I might just decide to, shorten my lifespan a bit, just to make sure, nothing goes wrong, and if in case something does, we're there to fix it.
Yeah, not only that, support issues. Say, for example, you're supposed to be on the whitelist and you're not. Somebody has to put you on there, or they have to do an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And then put you on there, and then they gotta notify you, and then you can mint. And it's like
yes. So in other words, we've birthed a beast here, dude. And I warned you about this a long time ago. When we first started Mscribe, I was like, dude, it's very cute of you, dude. You want to build another platform here? It's like very ambitious, Will.
Well, you know what? It's all for the support of the metaverse.
Of course. That is the idea of Mscribe, right? What does the M stand for? Why not Nscribe, dude?
Yeah.
I've heard of that. And
what would Nscribe be?
It's a play on inscribe, right? Inscribing. Nscribe, it seems like a little more obvious. But we went with the M for a reason, right? Because this is a metaverse platform.
I mean, people are PvPing right now, dude. If this isn't the metaverse, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's not super obvious that this is what you're looking at is metaverse activity. You see the Zuckerberg pitches and stuff. He's out there in fucking 3D utopia.
Yeah.
So you look at this, it's this is the metaverse?
Right.
Well, yeah, this is fundamentally part of the experience of, an immersive multiplayer shared web looks like.
Yeah,
right?
Think about it. We have over 6,500 holders. That means 6,500 people showed up on this map to mint, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And they had an incentive to come to this map to mint, right?
Yeah.
And so we made it a shared experience where you can actually see each other and then compete for these blocks.
Yeah, and compete they did, dude. So, yeah, it's this collectively, how many are left? About 1,000 or so?
No, 600. So if I zoom in here, it looks like 1,000, but 400 were reserved for the team.
Okay.
So it's actually less than almost 500.
Okay, so we're roughly 90% plus, 92, 95%-ish complete. So this is basically a fully blocked out UNAT deployment, the first of its kind in this blockpad experience. And so there's a reason why it was a technical challenge, right? And a lot of you guys, were very supportive through that, which is that was a huge help for us, right? Because some people were not so as supportive, and that's understandable. People are
they don't understand tech. Those are the ones who are not supportive.
Yeah, they don't understand tech.
They're like, why isn't this Web 2 experience? Why can't I use my credit card?
Right. Yeah, so they're coming in expecting perfection out the gate. Just not contextualizing what's actually happening as far as this is a brand new system that we've deployed, and there's nothing really to reference as far as how this should or should not function and work, because this is a standalone platform, right?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we wanted to achieve. And, because of this launch, now I think from where we were at the start of it to where we are now, I mean, this thing is so much more
Yeah. Buttery smooth.
Yeah, dude. Like
it was like a fucking rocky boat, leaky boat at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, literally leaky. I mean, we drained some funds there.
We sure did. But nonetheless, those funds got returned. But yeah, I mean, this is a very essential part of the growth, right, of the platform. Because now we have like a real product here. I think like an original concept, original platform.
Yeah, man. I remember when this was just an idea.
I do too. You're like, you know what? This would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's how everything starts, right? The ideas are so like
nonchalant.
I don't know. Everybody's got them, right? Everybody
Sure.
thinks they're genius. They're sitting there thinking around like, you know, I have a good idea.
Yeah, it's like $1 million idea,
right?
But you got no skills to implement it.
Correct. So it's like 1 out of 1,000 actually end up like executed.
Yeah.
You know, and here we go. We got 1 out of 1,000. It's done.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect, but it is viable. It's functional, and it did as functioned as performed and designed. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have let's look at the metrics here, dude.
Yeah.
Did we achieve what we set out to do?
Yeah. So this is about 80 so percentage like unique wallet holders.
Yeah. Yeah, so for sure, I guess this is definitely a better distribution mechanism than what, you know, we originally had.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, 100%. It was like a 10K mint was down to like 300, 400 holders.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a clear problem. You know, this happens across the board. We saw it with not just DMT assets, like BRC 420 assets as well. Like, you know, people, they write these scripts or these bots or whatever, and they just, anytime anything new deploys, they just scoop it all up.
That's right.
And it has potential damaging effects on the market activity. You know what I mean? So this is a very important step. And so now that we're done, what do we do now, dude? Is it time to relax and rest? Do we get to go like on vacation?
That's a negative. It gets worse from here, dude.
Does it?
It gets harder.
Oh no, dude! Explain why.
Because now we focus on just one deployment, and this whole purpose of this is to make it open for everybody to use.
That's right.
And so theoretically, there's going to be tons of these things happening simultaneously.
Yeah, simultaneously.
At
the same time.
Right. Exact same time. Dude.
That's what simultaneously means, right? That is wild. So. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to deployments like this, but at a larger scale. Because as you know, we're in the DMT space. We're not pigeonholed to just 10K.
Correct.
Non-arbitrary supplies. We've seen 30K mints already.
Yeah.
We've seen 800K mints
twice.
Full blockouts
twice.
But specifically for the NAT token, right? Bitmap was the first, but it's not like under the framework. But yeah, we have seen 2 full blockouts before, so we're anticipating that occurrence again.
Yes.
Under this same, technology stack.
Because it doesn't cost a creator anything, right? Like if you were to do an 840K mint with like traditional ordinal structures, you would have to mint 840K assets to yourself.
Impossible.
How would you do that?
You can't do it. Yeah, so this is the only way to do it. And there's an incentive to do it, right? Because, you want to render something new out of this the data set that exists in these Bitcoin blocks. So that is like the whole new thing we're doing here collectively.
Yeah. And shout out to Track and Benny and the team over there. We collaborate on this thing called privilege authorization. And we were like, Benny, we need this like functionality. He was like, we could do this.
He did say that.
And then he did it.
They did do it. 100%. So, yeah, man. So what's the timeline looking like as far as opening this up? I guess we haven't really got to that point yet.
I think we need like a 2-week cool down period.
Okay.
So we can like go to sleep without worrying.
Okay.
And then probably fix a couple of things, make sure that the deployment experience for a creator who wants to use this is like it's all there, good user experience. And then it'll be open to anybody. So you could just deploy a privilege auth token, set your parameters, 1 mint per wallet, 10 mint per wallet, price, free, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then just pick a block date and it's off, right? And so the creator has all the controls to edit and add phases and all that.
Okay. All right. So now's the time trying to figure out how to enhance this thing, right? We've had early ideas like, does this experience, do we need like a chat room within these.
Well, you know what? I mean, we've been having those chats in Discord. I mean, they've been nonstop, dude.
Exactly. Right.
It's like a flurry of like people.
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily makes sense to pull that out of Discord. I don't know. Discord seems to be quite the hub.
I don't know either.
Well, we haven't heard like rampant feedback from people. It's like, dude, this needs like chat or different other features. But I think now is the time to start thinking about, how do we enhance this experience a bit, or maybe not. Maybe it's more so just optimizing, the interface a bit more. I think so. I think we're going to be updating the interface here and make it a little bit more user friendly. Things like that. But overall, like the main mechanic is the creator decides how many mints per wallet, whitelists, all that stuff. Yeah. And so all that, the critical infrastructure is already there. Okay, so on to the Royals then, dude. So this is done. The Royals is basically, by the time this is posted, it'll pretty much be 100% distributed. Yeah. We have our new DMT community here, right? Yeah, so if you don't know what the Royals is, you've been living under a rock. And so we just went through 4 phases, and these are what the assets look like. So the assets will be revealed, I believe, on Monday, I think. Yeah, on Monday our time, which is Central United States time. Correct. Yeah, because we know like people are all over the globe, right? So people are very much anticipating this artwork. I am as well. Yeah. This is kind of like the whole point of all this, right? Yeah, well, we've seen a sneak peek, and there's a ton of traits. They all look cool. Yeah, and if you're new to like why is this cool, or why is this even like a thing? Like, what is so unique about this collection? Yeah. Once the documentation, I guess, is released, that kind of reflects the uniqueness of each individual trait and how they're all like non-arbitrarily pegged to the information source that is the Bitcoin block data. I think that's whenever it becomes much more obvious, right? Yeah. People are used to like the typical art drop experience of just, like a distribution event occurs through some like front end landing page interface. Here's a new PFP collection. Push this button, get your mint, yada, yada, yada. And then like the art unveil will just suddenly happen a few days later or whatever. Yeah. Completely arbitrary. It's just like it just happens to just manifest. Yeah, the rarity is completely arbitrary. Yeah, it's just not rooted to anything other than like, the artist like internal script. Yeah. Right. So which is it's fine. You could do it that way, but all this does is introduce a new vector of creation for these artists. And we've heard a lot of feedback from these creators. Like it's fun. Yeah, for them, right? I think people enjoy this. It's fun, but it's also inspiring. I mean, for example, Evie from Natcats, it was like I haven't done a crypto project ever, but once I learned about DMT, I was like, I'm in. Exactly. Yeah. Right now, it's art, but I'm hearing people like they're going pretty deep as far as theorizing how they could leverage this and create different like lines of production, not necessarily just 2-dimensional art. Leveraging this for 3-dimensional space, all kinds of different applications, right? It truly is infinite how you can apply this. Yeah, you got to remember these scripts, right? We're seeing 2D art, but it could be 3D art, it could be metaverse assets, could be a PFP 3D stuff. Could be like artificial intelligence. Yeah, it could be applications. Yeah. I mean, anything, really. Anything. Yeah, so that is the whole point of this, right? Is to make this ecosystem as viable as possible so that we can attract as many like experimenters. Because we want to see all those different vectors of creation emerge from this, right? We want to see, of course, the artists, the generative art space, like come in here and tinker with the blocks. I feel like if you're a generative artist, this makes the most sense. Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, because there's nothing more interesting than like watching your art proliferate every single block, depending on, and every single time a block is created, like you're in anticipation. It's like, man, I wonder what data will be contained within that block. Right. And as a result of that, that's what's going to render my art. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's not arbitrary. Correct. Right? It's as closely tied to Bitcoin as possible. Yeah. And it's based off of code. Right. Yeah. And so that's the best part, is that it's very, very efficient. Yeah. Right. To upload this code to Bitcoin is like $50 or so, depending on how big your script is. But then after that, these mints are like 800 bytes. So it's like nothing to mint this. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of educating still left to be done. I think we're gonna put out like we did an intro to Ordinals like series a couple months back.
Yeah.
We'll probably do like an intro to DMT thing here pretty soon. Just
yeah, and also main thing is we want to collaborate with the wallets, Unisat, Xverse, Leather, so that they can properly render these assets. I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, we'll share the code in on our Gitbook. We'll share the code, and it's not even a big deal to render this stuff.
Correct. But as of now, if you're trying to like ensure validity of your assets and the validity of the rendering of them, just go to Mscribe.
Yeah.
Because it is the only platform as of right now, like with purely designed to support these types of assets, because it is truly a whole new asset class in the Web3 space. So definitely check it out. Yeah, okay, we got some cleaning up to do.
Yeah.
The secondary marketplace has some bugs here and there, but it is working now, right? So that is a place to, I guess, dip your toes into the market with these assets.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, wait for Monday. There's going to be an art reveal. And so basically the art will be on chain. And then all these mint inscriptions are going to be pointing to the art once it's on chain. And then your mints will look like the actual characters here, the art zero. So just wait for that. And it's going to be pretty cool. You just show up on Mscribe, you go to your wallet, and then all you see is, the stuff that you minted.
So what's your predictions, dude? How do you think the market's going to kind of like react to this?
Well, I think with something pretty well distributed in the case that we have here, I think the market is going to react pretty positively, because there is no there's no dump pressure, I guess, for something like this, just because it's so well distributed.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think it's going to be interesting. That's kind of what we're waiting to see, right? Is to see if it could garner enough like market noise so that people are kind of like forced to pay attention to it, and again understand like what makes this unique. Because at face value, it looks like any other art collection, right? From like if you're looking down Magic Eden, which it will be there at some point. You don't really know what distinguishes each little picture project from one another, right? Until you actually do some due diligence and digging into it.
Yeah.
Just like Natcats, it's like, you have to actually learn something to understand how this thing is actually being rendered and why it is all on chain.
That's right.
What do you mean it's non-arbitrary? What do you mean DMT?
Yeah.
Like that, there is a lot of vectors of like, mental friction there. Right. So,
yeah, but I feel like that's what makes this interesting. I mean, we're always like taking a look at the market conditions for what's happening in Ordinals, and it's like memes, this, boring stuff, that.
Hey, boring to you, but fucking beautiful for somebody else, dude.
No, wrong.
I don't know, dude. I think you might be wrong here, dude. I'm just saying.
About memes or what?
Yeah. I think memes
I think you're drinking the Kool-Aid, dude. They got you. They got you, man.
We'll talk about that later, dude.
Yeah, on the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess Monday that's going to be the reveal, and there's going to be I guess token gates on Discord, community stuff so. Yeah, just wait for Monday, and hopefully this is going to be kind of an interesting outcome when it comes to like the community and like what transpires from such gathering of a distributed asset.
Yeah. And again, big shout out to the community, and a big thank you for everyone who's been like supportive and super like encouraging like moments, I guess, like during like some of the toughest points of this. It's like, stay positive, guys.
Yeah.
It's all gonna be cool, just to kind of like buffer some of the other side of that spectrum where it's like, you fucking suck. Things like that. It's like, dude, it's like, you're ruining my whole week here, dude. It's like I had to choose between, fucking going on this hot date or minting this fucking thing, and then it's not even working. What the fuck, dude? She's never gonna love me now. Yeah. Things like that, So we have to deal with all those pressures, right? But for those of you guys who are like, you know what, dude, we understand, like, this is brand new tech. This is inspiring, and this whole purpose is like worth pursuit, right? So however long it takes, however difficult it is, we're there. Those are the messages that really stick out to us. It's like, fuck, see, we're actually doing something important.
Yeah, which reminds me, if you minted a redacted test, which is one of the crowns, you're going to be on a whitelist to actually claim a real crown on the live network. So so that will happen after the Royals is done. You just go and claim it, and now you'll hold a real crown on the live asset. So you'll be able to see your crowns again.
M crown, right?
M crown.
So we got Mscribe, and now we have our M crowns.
That's right. That's right.
All right, dude. I want my M crown.
So does like 5,000 other people.
I don't blame them, dude.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. There's some solid crowns over there.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. And I guess if we miss anything, let us know in the comment section below. And
yeah, and if you're an aspiring creator yourself,
yeah,
please reach out to us.
Yeah,
you know, we want to work with as many of you as we can.
We know that there's tons of questions as far as like how all this like works for a creator. So we're here to answer those questions. But yeah, just reach out, Twitter, Discord, you know, either Iman or myself, and then we'll respond. All right, guys, appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.